Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Event Industry News podcast. My name is James Dixon, wishing everybody a very good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever or wherever you are tuning into today's podcast from. The podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Engage, powered by D2I Systems, winner of Best Event Management Platform at the 2017 Event Technology Awards. To learn how Engage can make your business more profitable, visit d2isystems.com/engage. And I always say at the start of the podcast episodes, good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you are tuning in from, which is very apt today because I'm delighted to say that once again, we've got some transatlantic guests joining us on the line today. Our guests today are Casey Shaw and Ryan Campion. Casey is the co-founder and Ryan is the head of marketing from Printfection. And if I'm right, you guys are joining us from Denver, Colorado today. Is that correct?
That's right.
Fantastic. Guys, thanks for taking the time to join us on the podcast today. And the first thing I'm going to sort of not throw at you, but to kick things off, if you go onto the Printfection website, one of the first things I noticed was a line that says a swag management platform that makes life easy. So for those people who are out there who have only ever lived in the digital world, Casey, what is swag and what is swag management?
Yeah, so swag is all the stuff you'd bring to an event, your t-shirts, tchotchkes, promotional materials, pamphlets, and a management platform is kind of our take on reinventing this old school industry of promotional merchandise and simplifying kind of the buying, management, and distribution of your branded merchandise.
Sure. And why swag management, and why was Printfection created? What's your own background, and how did it lead to you guys or to you, Casey, helping to found Printfection?
Yeah, so it was an organic story. My co-founder Kevin and I met in college here in Denver, and we started at a t-shirt printing company, and it was done online. It allowed customers to upload artwork, make designs, make some money. So very much a retail-oriented business. And then it kind of transformed over the years. We saw that some of our best customers were actually companies, organizations, event professionals that were using our platform to help distribute merchandise. And so we kind of pivoted the company to focus on swag management exclusively and deal with businesses. We just saw that the industry was kind of behind the times, and there wasn't a lot of technology applied into helping people manage their swag.
Sure. And, now that you've sort of put what swag is into context, I'm sure everybody listening or watching today's podcast will go, okay, yeah, great. I think I'm on the right page now. I know what it is. And we've all been to trade shows and to conferences where people stood there with a bowl of pens or, some key rings to hand out to people, stuff that was a brand management exercise in the past, wasn't it? It was about putting your logo onto something tangible that people would hold and maybe use in their everyday lives. But having said that, other people who have had experience of ordering that and sourcing those products will have probably gone through the same situation that I found myself in many times, which is, I found some pens on this website, or I found some t-shirts from these guys, or I found another company that can do this, that, and the other. You find yourself having to go to multiple different platforms with different ordering processes, things arriving at different times in different boxes, having to get it all ready for events. And I presume that part of the concept behind what you guys are doing is to bring all of that sort of horrible logistical side of things under one platform.
Yeah, exactly. The traditional industry is extremely fragmented. So, like you said, you order pens from one guy, you come up with a really creative idea, and maybe you need to go source that from somewhere else. And then you end up with 3 or 4 or 5 different swag vendors. And then generally what happens is all that stuff's coming into your office, and somebody has to actually kind of package that stuff together, maybe reship it out to your next conference or event, or if you're distributing directly to maybe a nice customer on their anniversary, or your sales team is you're kind of empowering your sales team with some merchandise for maybe their on-site visits. That stuff all generally kind of, the hub becomes your office, and it's just a huge waste of time and potential of everyone in your marketing team. So kind of our vision is to put that into a SaaS online platform where all that stuff's done in one spot. So we also have integrated fulfillment, distribution, worldwide distribution, and then a lot of services too to help kind of event professionals with specifically getting merchandise to events on time, on specific days, customs clearance, kind of just a lot of value added things that, you know, make their life just a little bit easier.
Yeah, another thing I think that helps, we have an event packing feature. So I've gone to quite a few trade shows, and one of the things I look forward to the least is, okay, let's say your box gets to the event on time, right? You're excited. Now you have all this unorganized crap, right, that you have to sift through. If you're bringing t-shirts, they're jumbled all over the place. So we have a feature called event packing where we actually, any apparel item you have, we'll roll it for you and label it by size and gender. So all you have to do is just take it out of the box, set it up on your booth display, and then you're good to go. And that saves, it sounds really minor, but the feedback from our customers is that saves them hours of time depending on how many events they go to.
Absolutely, and one thing that I considered before we came on air today, I looked through the website for Printfection just to get an idea of what it is that you're doing and how it really differed from you know what you may call the older generation of swag management and how people used to do it. And the responsibility for sourcing and managing this whole thing would often fall to somebody who now also has a responsibility for many other things as well in a company. So you take the marketing manager of any you know, of company X, Y, or Z, they will be managing the website, the social media activity, the press releases, the schedules of their senior management if they're going to a conference or a trade show. So they may have forgotten perhaps what swag is and maybe how useful it can be. When you launched the company, Casey, how much of a consideration was given to almost re-educating the industry into what they can achieve with this type of marketing when they've got sort of so many pressures and responsibilities of managing those other elements of marketing as well?
Yeah, I think that's our biggest challenge and opportunity to this day is helping everybody understand how powerful swag can be and that it's almost a brand new marketing channel if done correctly. So it doesn't have to just be, you know, this thing you do just because everybody else does that you take to a conference or a trade show. We've actually seen a lot of extremely innovative swag marketing campaigns from our customers. And so they've taught us as much as we've taught them. It's really fun to kind of see some of these super innovative tech companies that use our platform and what they've done with merchandise. Just a quick example, a customer of ours actually used swag as an incentive on their website if you were to trial their software product. And they received about 30% more leads over the course of a couple of years. This was an ongoing, extremely successful demand gen campaign. That's just one example. There's so many. So that's been something that's been really fun for us is to it's not just about the swag. A lot of it's about how it's used and being extremely creative with kind of blending the right swag items with the right campaign structure. And then with our distribution tools, we can make that a lot easier. So you're not having to, you know, generate a giveaway link or collect sizes. We have tools and landing pages and systems for that to make it a lot easier. So yeah, that's definitely kind of the meat of what we're trying to educate the market on.
When you mentioned the term "the right items," there are swag ideas and items that everybody's familiar with. And take the idea of the pen. I've literally just scribbled a note here as we've been talking with some question ideas, and I've looked at the pen I've got, and it's got a company on there called Inspire. They're a hire company. I picked it up at a conference that I was working at a few weeks ago, and it's the first pen that I fished out of my bag today, and I'm using it. And it's a really, really good pen, and I picked it up for a really specific reason because I thought, that's a really good pen. Now, the pen idea, in some respects, though, is some people may accuse it of being a bit old hat, you know, an old-fashioned concept. Same with the key rings or, you know, is there still mileage in what you would call traditional swag items? And what we're seeing come into the marketplace in 2018, you know, what are the sort of the modern ideas that people can actually see now if they want to invest in this element of marketing?
Yeah. So to start off, yeah, items, you know, people might consider something like a pen to be cheap, right? And it is. It's a low-cost item. Those low-cost items like pens, sunglasses, lip balm, they're still useful. And so there's still some value in that. I think where event managers sometimes trip up or make a mistake is they only bring those items. They just say, you know what, we're going to bring a bucket of pens, set out in front of the booth, and hope that people come by and take them. I think if you have the budget for it, you want to diversify the types of items that you bring to an event. Particularly if you're going to a show and you know that there's some really key prospects that you want to meet with that could potentially represent a huge opportunity for your business, bring a handful of high-end items for those folks. This could be branded Patagonia jackets with your logo on it, or even Timbuktu backpacks, really nice backpacks. They have a lot of useful straps. They look super sharp. Waterproof Bluetooth speakers. People are always raving about those.
Yeah.
Bring some of those items that you can give to key prospects and customers. Those aren't your standard giveaways, but you'll have those when you have those key meetings, and you'll make a really good first impression. And then, when you talk about different items on sort of the creative spectrum, we have mid-range items. One of the ones that we've been using recently, even internally, Printfection, that our customers love, are just branded whiskey stones. So they're just little stones that you put your branding on, you put it in the freezer, and then you stick it into a beverage like whiskey, and it keeps your drink really cold, but without diluting it like ice would. Little things like that. People are just like, oh, that's amazing.
You had me at whiskey.
Exactly. Right. Everyone likes alcohol related items. And going back to that, the cheaper spectrum, pens and so forth, things like bottle openers and even sunglasses, they don't sound that sexy. They might sound a little bit lame, but you can actually do a lot of different things. And from a branding perspective, whether you emboss your logo on it, you can make it look really nice. And again, it's super helpful. I actually needed a bottle opener just a couple weeks ago. I sound a little bit like an alcoholic, but it's a useful item. So I think, mix up the types of items that you bring, but to your point, those lower end items, those cheaper ones, absolutely still have mileage. I think there's just some ways that you can add a little bit more creativity and add a little bit of breadth to the types of things you bring.
And to re-emphasize my point, and to sort of take that a stage further, targeting items to the right audience, or the right items for the right audience, is essential. Because again, look, I've got a pen here, right? I do a lot of event production work. I'm plugging things in or marking out stand spaces, whatever it may be. And I'm always fishing around in my pocket for a Sharpie or a marker of some description. Yeah. And so at a trade show last year, there was a conference, there was a booth, and they just had a great big bowl of these mini Sharpies that are perfect for throwing in your pocket. You can carry 2 or 3 around. You've always got one to hand. It's got their logo on it. And I just thought, do you know what? That would cost me, £2, £3, £4 to go and buy myself. So that's actually, not only has it saved me some money, it's given me something really useful that I can carry around for my work. So I suppose my point, to re-emphasize what you were saying, Ryan, is finding the right items for the right audience is critical as well. And if pens are right, great. If backpacks are right, great. It could be that you're at a sports convention, Casey, and water bottles are the right way to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely thinking about it the right way. In fact, I have this little dongle adapter here, right? It just has a couple different attachments for a couple different mobile devices. This is from a company I used to work for about 6 or 7 years ago. It was an HR software company. I still have this, and I still use it. Not that expensive, very useful, and I've kept it around.
You're carrying it all the time. Casey, going to sort of, I suppose, the operational side of the platform, if we can call it that, of Printfection. When it was being put together, did the actual Printfection website and the platform that your clients will engage with to process their orders and to manage their orders, did that evolve from a previous site, or was this a completely sort of bespoke project that was built from the ground up for the purposes of what you wanted it to serve?
Good question. So kind of with our history of being a business to consumer printing operation for almost 10 years before we launched our swag management platform, actually a lot of the back-end infrastructure did evolve from kind of our printing heritage. But we've added a lot since, and it does kind of look like a fresh app nowadays. But you can log in as a customer, and you can manage your campaigns online. You can put in requests for new items, browse our catalog of ideas, see what other customers have done using our platform, and then kind of when you pick out your items, you work with our item setup team and merchandise experts. So just what you and Ryan were chatting about here a few minutes ago, we have these conversations every day, all day with our customers, and we've kind of seen from hundreds of other customers, what's working and what's not. So that's a big value add. That's not just, software logistics. It's really the human aspect of coming up with the great campaigns. But we have a nice built-in project management system to help make that really easy to go back and forth. If you've ever ordered merchandise, you probably have a 50 email chain in your inbox about going back and forth to get that order through the door. So instead of having to do that all over email, you can do it directly in our platform, and then kind of when that's done, you can order the inventory, store it in our fulfillment center, and then design and launch these campaigns. So it was a process over many years to kind of get all those pieces together and make them work in a cohesive system. When we first created the platform, we actually just had one of these features, which was what we call a giveaway. And it was kind of our foray to see, hey, is this thing going to work? Is this swag management idea really have legs? And so the giveaway was simply just a unique URL that you could generate in our platform, distribute it to customers, maybe through email or social, and then they would click on it and be able to pick out their own gift, enter their own shipping address, and most importantly, their own size. So you didn't have to go back and forth with the recipient to collect information. And that really took off pretty quickly. And what we saw is that people wanted more than just this point solution of a giveaway. They really wanted an entire swag management system. And so we kind of built out the other aspects from customer requests. And it was a very organic process over many years.
And it's interesting that the idea of a link there, a word that really has cropped up in the events industry just in the last few years is gamification. And it's just the idea of promoting audience engagement and interaction, whether that be at a conference or at a trade show. So some sort of reward, a gaming aspect that rewards the person for attending so many seminars or so many sessions or visiting certain booths that have paid to maybe participate in a sponsored gamification program where they get this reward. And the idea of maybe that swag doesn't just have to be something that you put into people's hands there and then, that it could be a reward for something further down the line.
Absolutely.
It suddenly takes it out of just being a gift item to being something that actually companies can incorporate into their marketing activities if they are going to an event.
Absolutely. Yeah. In our world, we kind of call that an incentive program, and using that giveaway link, we've had customers that have done, very simple solutions, but also very sophisticated, where imagine, you have, I'm just brainstorming off the top of my head here, but you attend these sessions, you collect points, maybe in the event app or what have you. And then when you hit certain levels, you're eligible to redeem XYZ swag items, or even kits or combinations of different things, and then have them shipped or sent directly to the individual.
Sure. From a creativity point of view, and Ryan, I guess in your role as head of marketing, this is something that you're likely to take a really keen interest in. Going back to the processes involved in ordering and processing orders, and looking at the old way of doing things, where maybe a marketing manager is on 5 or 6 different websites ordering different things, and one company wants a PNG file, the other one wants a PDF of your logo, the other one wants a JPEG, and you've got 5, 6 different processes that you're managing. So first of all, from a creativity point of view, it's aided by the fact that they only have to upload certain information once, presumably, to the site. But then as a creative offering, are you there to not only suggest the ideas of what items would work, but also maybe the design of those items, how logos are displayed, what wording, text is displayed? How involved do you get in the creative process of the items with the clients?
Yeah, we are extremely deeply involved. And James, it sounds like you've almost managed this before. You're speaking so clearly to the pain points that our customers come to us. Yeah, no, it's all that. So every customer gets an account manager, a dedicated client success manager, as well as access to our merchandise experts. And we get questions all the time from customers that say, hey, can you just give us some ideas? Like, what are some cool t-shirt ideas? What are some cool new ideas? And we can give them tons of options of, hey, you can brand a t-shirt with this type of color style, or put your logo in multiple placements. And we can really get into the weeds with them and give them a lot of detail about what works and what looks good. And that's all part of any customer who signs up for Printfection gets access to that.
Excellent. And I suppose tying in the concept of swag and gift ideas, and also the whole sort of digital age that we work in now. How many sort of digital ideas are able to be incorporated in swag? And I'm talking about things like, USB sticks, for example. Again, to me, if I see a trade stand or a booth or anything at a show where they're giving out USB sticks, get as many of those as you can, because you're always fishing for one in the bottom of your bag. So
Yeah.
I'll spend 10 minutes talking to people there, and half a dozen of those are going straight in my pocket. So and how is that sort of then developed beyond that? Are there sort of more modern and digital gift ideas that people are looking at now to tie in with that digital age?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, any type of tech product, any digital product, if you can put a logo on it, you can use it. You can use it with us. So yeah, we definitely we see that quite a bit. Even people, apart from things like memory cards, even like headphones, branded headphones are super popular. So that's an item that we're seeing. Or even now with cell phones, now that they all have wireless charging capabilities,
Sure.
you can brand a wireless charge pad that looks really, really slick. And that's super useful because then people can charge their phones wirelessly. So yeah, we see that happening quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the fastest growing category of promotional merchandise out there is the technology items.
Great. Yeah, and understandably so, because I guess if you're offering somebody something that's not going to cost them anything, but that is a useful day-to-day item that they would otherwise go out and definitely buy themselves, you're instantly touching on something that's going to get into people's psyche. Just going back to the point about on the actual operational side of things and the website functionality and the platform functionality. How was there a development and well, there's always a development period, but was there a soft launch for the platform that you were able to sort of test, and how long was that period before you were able to say, right, this works now, let's put it out to the wider market?
Yeah, it's a great question. So given our history of starting in the B2C printing world, we actually the analogy I always use is we changed out the engines of the airplane mid-flight. So there wasn't this big bang moment where we launched Printfection as everybody knows it now. It was a very iterative process. But we did actually first create that giveaway functionality under a separate brand. It no longer exists, but it was called Swag Love. And we did that to protect the old business. And so we created this giveaway thing. We called it Swag Love. It got some traction. And then we folded it back into Printfection and kind of morphed our service over time. So it was a multi-year process to do this. It wasn't super fast, but we wanted to get it right and build the tools that everybody wanted. So we needed a lot of feedback from the market to kind of see like, hey, is this thing working? What works, what doesn't? And it took us a while to get there, but.
And how does it work on an international basis? Because you did mention earlier on in today's podcast that the international customers, and you guys, as I said at the very beginning, you're in Denver, Colorado at the moment. Over in the US, we're based in the UK. We know that there will be people listening and watching this podcast from the US, in continental Europe, in Southeast Asia, in the Middle East, in places like Abu Dhabi and Dubai, where there are big event markets there. How have you been able to further develop the platform so that from your base in the USA, you are able to actually satisfy international customers, and how difficult was that process to incorporate?
Yeah. So we have a lot of international customers. We do, for full disclosure, I would say, the majority of our customers are North American based, but they go to events in all over the world. So our fulfillment center right now is in Colorado. That's where most of the items ship from. So, there is a logistical factor of moving atoms across oceans. There's no way around it. But we do ship over 40% of everything overseas in one way or another. So, whether it's to Asia or Europe, you name it. So we've gotten really great at international shipping. And the other thing to think about too is, so we have some international customers where actually the majority of those events are happening in North America. So that could be a great kind of twist on things as well. If you are going to a lot of events in North America, having fulfillment and operations in the United States can be a benefit, even if your company is headquartered internationally. We don't yet have operations overseas, but that's on the roadmap to open up a fulfillment center in Europe, in Asia, et cetera. So we're building our platform to be able to expand.
One thing that I've just scribbled down is whether or not you guys have links directly to the events themselves, and to put that into some context as a question. If you go to a trade show, and I'm working with a client of mine at the moment who are going to be exhibiting at a trade show in a few weeks' time. So at the moment, I'm working with that event organizer to put in all the stand information and everything that they ask for in advance. And one thing that you're always given is a list of their official contractors or suppliers, people who can supply TV screens if you need a TV screen in your booth, etc. Have you explored, or have you ever, or have you already worked in the idea where you're working as the official supplier to an actual event? By doing that, you're making the whole delivery and the fulfillment process that little bit more cost effective by working with lots of people who are going to be in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, we've experimented with that, and in a couple of different ways. So we have a few events where we are the official merchandise supplier. But then on the flip side, we also have some customers that we don't have an official contract with the event, but we have so many customers going to the same event that it almost works in that way of itself, where we can get better rates to ship to the event and work directly with the event management company to clear logistics and customs with multiple customers all at once. So that does happen actually quite frequently, but I think that's an area of opportunity for us to explore maybe more direct partnerships with additional event management companies.
Yeah, we are doing a big one in February for an event that kind of caters to software startups that we're really excited about. So.
And I guess the same sort of question and further on, and I suppose it's more of a thought than a question, is as well as working with the actual event organizers themselves, then beyond that you have all these huge event venues in most of the major cities, not just in North America but in Europe as well, and from a fulfillment, the biggest cost of anything is getting it from A to B, is transport, and if you can make that more cost effective by having a base or some sort of official standing within either a venue or an event itself, it's going to make the task easier for everybody, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yep. The logistics is a huge piece, and it's definitely something that we're focused on. I mean, our role model is Amazon, right? Think about what they've done worldwide, and imagine if even 1/10 of that was available to event managers and marketing professionals.
One thing that I scribbled down here earlier on in today's podcast is swag like vinyl. And again, to sort of put a bit of context into that, vinyl and then cassettes and then CDs, they sort of fell out of fashion, and the iPod came along and we just started to download tracks. And then certainly in the UK, we've seen a year-on-year growth in the last 5 years in vinyl sales. It's creeping back up again because people want that tangible item. They don't want that, the idea of just a few ones and zeros making their way from their internet connection into their phone. Is swag a little bit like that? It might sound like a really random question, but do people fall out of love with it a little bit, and now through services like yours they're actually realizing no, it's really good to have something you can give to people as a physical item?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely correct. I think it's a couple of things. There's digital overload. People are getting too many offers, too many emails. So, as a marketer, you want to stand out. One way to do that is to kind of go back to the basics, go back to something real, send somebody in the mail. I mean, how many emails do you get every day versus how many, genuine packages with something cool inside, show up at your doorstep every day? And then, our vision is to marry the best of both of those worlds. So, maybe run a digital campaign, but have a swag offer as part of that campaign and do it in a smart, intelligent, modern way.
One thing again that I've noticed from looking at your website, there's a little bit there, a feature that says reporting and insights, knowing what's popular and when you should reorder. And from a popularity point of view, is not just popular and what's been good for you as an organization, but are clients of yours able to see what else has been really popular and what is a current trend and what other companies are ordering to help inspire them a little bit?
Yeah, so within their own platform, the reporting and insights will tell them all the different items they're using across all their different campaigns, whether it's events or giveaways. They can see what's being requested the most. So that's something we've used internally too. Like we use giveaway campaigns extensively. And that's when I noticed like, wow, those whiskey stones are being requested a lot more than some of our other items. So that's a clue right there. Okay, we've landed on something that's really resonating with people. Also on our blog, which is just printfection.com/blog, we share a ton of different ideas that we've seen across our customer base that have worked really well. So we're constantly sharing ideas. And that's also the role of our customer success managers. They've taken all this data from different customers and they'll share ideas with other customers about what's working well.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And yeah, and the idea of, being able to see, I know it's an obvious one, but being able to see what is on trend, what's working well for other people at any given point, what's a good cost-effective solution is going to be really, really useful for anybody entering into this type of thing. What's been as we sort of rush towards the end of today's episode, I'm keen to ask what's been some of the sort of maybe not the strangest items that you guys have fulfilled, but maybe some of the most inspiring is a better way to put it. Have you been approached by companies who've come with requests for items that maybe you don't do at that point, but you've thought, you know what, that'd be a really, really good thing to have. And yes, we can do that for you.
Yeah, we absolutely have. I'll share some ideas in case you can chime in. Have you ever played Jenga?
Yes.
Yeah, so giant Jenga sets we've had. Yep, so if you go to an event, you can have a giant Jenga set that people can play with. Piñatas, so we can do branded piñatas for events. I always joke with customers like, oh, you should order one of your competitors and then have your prospects bash it at the event. But I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That's very aggressive. Giant dice, inflatable chairs, massage tables, ping pong tables, like pretty much, like I said before, if there's an item that you can put a logo on it, we can brand it and we will have customers that will message us, say, can you do this?
Beer pong.
Yeah, beer pong, even inflatable balloons, like mini blimps, basically. We've had those requests come in as well.
Okay. This is a genuine question here, but when it comes to branded alcohol, bottles of beer, with a company's branding on there, how difficult is it to do? Because I know that from a licensing point of view over here, there will be certain issues and certain boxes that have to be ticked and certain considerations and brand implications. How does it work over there? Because again, this is about finding the right type of swag for the right audience. Is it something that you get approached to do, and how difficult is it to fulfill?
Yeah, we do get approached to do it. It's definitely possible here, at least in the United States, but there are a lot of regulations and they vary from state to state. And I assume that's kind of like that in other parts of the world. So if you ship from one state to another or a country to another, it gets very complex very fast. So it's actually not something we currently do, but it's definitely possible if the distribution scenario is really simple, like you're taking it to one event or you're remaining within one jurisdiction. Yeah, an expansion opportunity as well. Yep.
Apologies to any teetotalers joining in today, or following the podcast, because there seems to be a lot of reference to bottle openers, to beer, to whiskey stones.
That time of the night where you are.
All sorts of stuff like this. Maybe it's because I'm sort of pushing towards the end of the day, and I'm thinking, yeah, we're close. We're getting closer and closer. Guys, we're close to wrapping up today's episode, but before we go, just tell us, if people want to find out a little bit more about Printfection, what's the website, what are the social media handles, how can people find you?
Yep, super easy. Just printfection.com to find our website, and our handles on Twitter and LinkedIn is just @Printfection. Same thing for Facebook. Go ahead and add me. Again, it's Ryan Campion. You can find me pretty easily on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Guys, thanks very much for joining us. We've been joined on today's podcast by Casey Shaw, who is the co-founder of Printfection, and Ryan Campion, the head of marketing over at Printfection, who have taken the time out earlier on in their day, I should say. We started, it was 10 a.m. in the morning for you guys. So you were we got you at the most effective part of the day as far as we're concerned, when your brains are absolutely geared up and raring to go, who have joined us from Denver, Colorado in the USA, to talk about Printfection. And as the guys said, that there are the links. Have a listen back and you go over to their website and find out a little bit more about them. Our own podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Engage, powered by D2I Systems, winner of Best Event Management Platform at the 2017 Event Technology Awards. To learn how Engage can make your business more profitable, visit d2isystems.com/engage. That brings us to the end of today's episode. If you've been watching the video of this podcast on eventindustrynews.com, don't forget that you can head over to your favorite podcast platform and download an audio version of the podcast. You can also reference back to all of the previous editions that we've done of the Event Industry News podcast and listen to it on your headphones on your way to and from work or wherever you find yourself out and about working in the industry. Thanks again to our guests today, Ryan and Casey from Printfection, and we'll see you on the next edition of the Event Industry News podcast. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.